Hey guys, I'm Dr. Nate Prentice. I'm a chiropractor in our Linwood location. So today I'm going to be talking about working from home and avoiding injuries. So as silly as that may sound, we're having a lot more people experiencing neck pain, whether it radiates into the back, low back pain, pain in the hands, or even eye strain and headaches. So today I'm going to be telling you why that's happening, also how to avoid it. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first injury is neck strain, and sometimes this can go into your back. So what's going on with that? An analogy that I like to use is, alright, our head weighs approximately 8 to 10 pounds, right? So if I turn sideways and I hold this ball up right here for a long time, I can hold it for a while. But once I bring that ball out in front, my shoulder's going to give out. So with that being said, it's the same thing with our neck. This right here, so we're holding our head up, and if we bring our neck forward, if we're looking down on our phone, anything like that, every inch that your head goes forward adds 10 pounds to your spine, approximately. It's a little different for everyone. But where you feel it, in this analogy, the shoulder would be, okay, we have the head, this would be my arm, and this is the shoulder. So all that strain goes right through here. Even if it's just a little bit, we're holding right here. As we go forward, our head goes forward in front of our shoulders, there's a lot more strain on the neck that can also refer into muscle tightness in the mid-back. So the next thing is low back. A lot of people are having low back injuries. Two things that to definitely avoid is doing a lot of computer work while you're sitting on your bed or sitting on a couch. Couches have terrible lumbar support. So you really want to get a chair that has some lumbar support. And in the next clip, I'll go over how you want to set your chair up. Another thing that we're seeing a lot of is carpal tunnel. Or symptoms of carpal tunnel where you have pain and numbness and tingling in your hands. Now that could be coming from your neck, but also it could be coming from your wrist if you type a lot. So a couple things to avoid is you really don't want those keyboards up like this. If you're doing a lot of typing, there are ergonomic keyboards that turn your hands out. You want to try to keep your wrist in a neutral position. You don't want to have it in this direction, or extension. You want it to be very neutral. And then lastly are headaches. Now, there's many causes of headaches, and I'm not saying this is going to fix all of them, but if you spend more than 6 hours on a screen a day, one thing to consider, and the evidence and the research on this is about 50-50, but you can give this a shot. You can get a pair of blue light blocking glasses, and you put those on, and it blocks the blue lights coming from your screen. Now, this is super important if you're working late at night, so there has been definite evidence that when you're looking at these screens at night, that the blue light actually decreases your body's production of melatonin. So if you're sitting on your phone right before bed, or you're sitting on your computer trying to do work, and you lay down, you can't shut your brain off, you can't fall asleep, that's the body's natural cycle. Naturally, when the sun goes down, our body starts producing that melatonin. But if you're constantly looking at those blue lights and you don't have something to potentially block the blue lights and the eye strain, you may have difficulty sleeping. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing is we don't want to be looking down at the screen. Ideally, we would have the screen up here. You want your eyes to be level with the top of your screen, and try not to look down at your computer. Instead, just move your eyes. So those are just a couple things. Now in the next little clip, I'm going to go into how to set everything up. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an example of an actual ergonomic setup, okay? So you got to kind of work with what you have, but starting with the chair, like I said, I'm all the way back against this backrest. I have a nice little lumbar support. If you don't, you can put a towel back there. All the way back, but all the way back in the chair, back just like this. And now if you have a chair that rocks, if you're sitting there and you want to have, again, there's no perfect posture, but if you want to have good posture, you need to get up, get moving, but lock that chair, sit up nice and tall, bring that neck back. That's the hardest thing. It's easy to go like this. It's easy to go like this. Try to keep that head up, keep that neck neutral. So, laptops. They're great for being on the move, working on the move, things like that. Ergonomically, they're not that great. So if we tend to, okay, we have our feet flat on the ground, arms here. Now these aren't adjustable, but if you have an adjustable armrest, you just want it to be nice and neutral. So if I'm looking at this laptop, I'm going to have to look down quite a bit. So if you're doing a lot more just sitting and watching things versus actually actively typing, things like that, ideally your screen would be up here. You want the top of your screen to be level with your eyes. So getting the laptop out of the way, if you have a desktop computer, you want that screen right level with the eyes. You want to keep that head back, and then you can use your eyes to look down. Don't do a bunch of typing on this keyboard. So this is a very flat keyboard, and you actually don't want those up. You want that flat. If anything, you want it going the opposite direction. A lot of people don't think about that because when you have your wrist bunched up like this, you have it up at an angle, more likely for things like carpal tunnel, wrist injuries. So they do have some, if you do a lot of typing, ergonomic keyboards. These are just a couple things to consider. Like I said, the big thing is sit back in that chair, keep that neck back, neutral, nice relaxed position right here. And another thing is, if you're having some discomfort, you want to try to keep that desk to where everything's neutral and flat right here where our shoulders are relaxed, we're not reaching. Those are just a couple things to consider with an actual desk setup. Alright, so something I said in the previous clip is to avoid couches and beds, and here I'm going to tell you why. So they don't allow for a lot of lumbar support, so we tend to slouch like this. We'll kind of bend forward, we're sitting on the bed. Well, with that slouching, you're more likely to do some injury and damage over time to that low back, and you'll start to get pain. So we want something that has good back support. Now, whether you have a chair that has good back support, I'll give you some other pointers if you don't. But no matter how expensive the chair, if you don't use it correctly, it's not going to do you much good. So one thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have this lumbar support. You're sitting all the way back in the chair. You have your feet all the way touching the ground flat. So you have a nice 90 degree and you're keeping this head back. So I even catch myself tending to look down kind of like this. And like I said with the bowling ball analogy, that causes a lot of tension in here. So just bring that head back and move the eyes down. If you're sitting in a regular chair, say a kitchen chair or something like that that doesn't have low back support, just get a towel, roll it up, and put it behind the small of your back for a little bit of additional support. Now the last thing is, you got to take breaks. If you guys are sitting there for hours and hours, it may not seem that important to go for just a little walk, but that's huge. Also take some time to stretch out your neck, stretch out your wrists and everything, your shoulders, your low back. Do a little stretching routine, whatever works best for you. But a saying that I like to say is motion is lotion, movement is medicine. No matter what posture, what setup you have, we're not meant to be in one position for an extended period of time. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that was helpful. And again, these are just a few things that you can implement while you're working from home to try to mitigate that discomfort and that pain. Now, if you're still having the discomfort and pain, remember that pain is like the body's check engine light. It tells us if there's something that's not quite right and we really need to correct that. So if you keep having that pain, don't hesitate to contact one of our multidisciplinary offices and we can get to the root cause of that pain. So, all right, thanks guys. Have a good day.